Welcome back to Curriculum Mapping with G Suite. This is the fifth and final video in a series on building your own tech tool inventory add-on for Google Docs. In the previous four videos, we have literally set the stage for what we are going to do today. And we are going to be working strictly with the file cabinet sidebar version 3 file. Again, this is still located in the demo site in the Google Plus community. So here it is. And then we will also be working with the app script for the add-on itself, which is also located there. It's called the Tech Tool Inventory. So let's go ahead and close this out. And before we dive too far into this, I just want to go back to what it is exactly that we're building to kind of refresh our minds. So I'm going to go back to our school's curriculum Google site, and we notice here these Google tools, and the idea is that if we open a unit that does not have any tech tools associated with it, I can open it and then I can launch the internal add-on, which I've deployed and installed, and I can click Start, and it opens a Google form in the sidebar that is pre-filled with the document ID of the unit planner. All right. And for units that already have a tech tool, so for example this one, launching the add-on will load the sidebar that allows me to change the previous responses. So notice tech tools have already been assigned to this one. Anything I do now will update the tech tools that have been attributed to this unit. So today, after completing this video, you will have that working for you in your own curriculum map. So let's go ahead and minimize. And so when you build an add-on, it's good practice to kind of build it in a standalone script. So you want to open a brand new Google app script. So this isn't the same thing as opening the script editor in the Google Sheet. So this is a standalone app script. And you can simply just make a copy of the one that I've added on the demo site. It's probably a faster way to get this going. So you'll notice there's two files here. There's an HTML file. So this corresponds to that sidebar that we saw. And then the code here is what actually runs. And the neat thing about this is it's the simplicity of it is really quite amazing. So all we're really doing is loading a sidebar and displaying an iframe for a Google form. And that iframe depends on the Google ID or the Google Doc ID. So let's take a look at this code. So we notice here, when we launch the add-on, it triggers this function to show the sidebar, and it gives it a title. So if we bring back the add-on here, and I launch it, we launched it, we show the sidebar, and then we get the title here. So that is what that information is coming from. So let's continue with the code. The data, this is our file cabinet view spreadsheet. So this is something you'll need to change on your install. So you want to make sure it's corresponding to your Google Sheet and then specifically to the Files tab. Okay? And then this part here is essentially where the magic is happening. And I'm going to talk about this. So at this point, we've identified the range that contains the document ID. So, and note that in counting columns in this method, A is actually 0 and not 1. So we're starting with a 0. and the doc ID is located in column 1. So here's kind of that range. So because column B, so 0, 1, this is our column. And what we're asking the script to do is to loop through that column until it finds a match of the ID. All right, so that's what this equal sign, these two equal signs mean, that once the data in this given range is equal to the document ID, to stop. Right, so it stops looping, and then it's going to return whatever it is that we have in column essentially 18, but really it's column 19, because remember A is a 0. So if we were to do all the math and count over, it would take us over to the published URL. Right, so this is number 18 in that range. And again, if you remember from video tutorial number 3, we talked about how this URL is either the pre-filled URL or the edit URL, depending on if tech tools have already been attributed or not. So if there's a URL here, it will be the same as this one. If there's nothing here, it will be the pre-filled URL. So that is essentially how the add-on works. And then that's a URL, which that data is then passed on over to the HTML file. And here is our little familiar iframe script. All right. So you can see there's some parameters set. It's given a size and so on and so forth. And the iframe ID ends up being essentially the URL of that either pre-filled URL or the edit URL. So that's what renders the view of the Google form that we want in that sidebar. So yeah, all of this contributes to that function. So once you've got your tech tool inventory established, you can actually test it as an add-on. So that's what we're going to do right now. I'm going to go up to Run, and I haven't yet deployed it as an add-on, but I just want to make sure it's working as an add-on. So when I click Test as an add-on, I'm going to do it for the current user, and I'm going to test it with the latest code, and I'm going to choose the document. So when you choose a document, make sure you're choosing one of the units that's in your unit planner folder. Otherwise, it won't work because it won't find the document ID. So let's say, for example, this unit on light. We select it. And I'm going to click Save. And I'm going to test it with this latest code. Now it'll open up that Google Doc with my add-on test installed. So I can go ahead and see if it functions as expected. I'm going to hit Start, and I have to go through an authorization process. I'm going to be authorized to work, allow. And it is working as expected, because remember, we've already submitted tech tools, so that's why it's giving this you are editing your previous response. And we can even confirm this document ID is the exact same one as the document ID that is currently open. So congratulations, we have a working add-on. So I can close that. And now we're ready to deploy or to publish. So I'm going to go click on Publish, Deploy as Web Add-on, and you need to accept the terms of the service. And again, your title, which is typically the title of your app script. And then you need a short description of what your add-on does. It is a Google Doc add-on. This is the first version of it, so as you make updates or improve its performance, you can create new versions and save them. You can add a link to a website with more helpful information. You could create a link to where people can submit issues they're encountering. And then this post-install tip is basically the moment it's installed, it gives a pop-up with a quick tip of what to do next. And then you'll want to skip this piece, the publish in Google Apps Marketplace, because we're doing something that is strictly internal, and I'm not going to force install it to everyone in my domain. So if I wanted to push it out to everyone, I would have to publish it in the Google Apps Marketplace and go this direction. But once you do that, you would create a web store draft, and then there'll be a similar interface like this that you fill out, and you're going to have to include some screenshots of very specific sizes. I'm not going to do that right now because that might be time consuming here. But you just fill in the data that appears, and it's a good idea that when you test your add-on, just to take some screenshots as you're going. So when you're asked for that information, you can kind of throw that into Photoshop or whatever photo editing tool you want to match the exact size that they need. You'll fill in a little bit more information about what the add-on does specifically, and then you'll be given a link that you can share to your users to which they can install the add-on. So if there appears to be desire to go through that process, I'm happy to make another video, but for right now I think this is the last video in this series. But when you finish that step, you'll have a working add-on in your curriculum map. So thanks for watching. Bye.